With us right now, it's another Josh. It's Josh Jackman. Josh, you're the founder and CEO of Pyvott, and you're based in Utah. And Pyvott is found on the web at pyvott.com. That's pyvott.com. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
All right, so give us an overview. What is Pyvott?
Pyvott is the newest player in the social media world, and we are coming at it from a disruptive perspective to really bring together the qualities that people used to love about social media and get rid of some of the things that have bogged it down that people are not as happy with these days. So yeah, we're the new kid on the block and here to make a splash.
All right, so it sounds like you improved social media. How?
Yeah, it's a great question. So not to bore with the details, but one of the things that we really keyed in on was creating an experience where content was king, where we're getting back to truly engaging with content, engaging with each other. You know, one of the pieces of our mission statement is, you know, we're here to break barriers and authentically connect. And as a result, we wanted to create a platform that allows for that. And so there's a variety of features and components that came out with our initial release just 2 weeks ago, and a lot of things coming down the pipeline, but really it's putting the control back into the user's hand. And that is everything from how you're engaging with content, how you see that content, as well as opportunities really in 3 categories. It's personalization, monetization, and customization.
Let me share a couple of reviews from your app store here. Everything you could want from a social media platform and everything Facebook and Instagram have been lacking in over the last few years. Nice to see real content I care about versus only seeing ads. That's one review. The other one here, this app is mad underrated. It's like a mix of Instagram and TikTok, but better. Definitely recommend, and it'll be way better when more people are on and post more and more. Okay, so you're off to a good start. You have a lot of reviews. You have 72 ratings right now. You are off to the races. So this is exciting. So you can download this in the App Store, and it's on both iOS and
Android. Yep.
And correct. Android. Very, very cool. Yeah, so this sounds like a big project. I mean, how do you design this?
Yeah, you know what? We've definitely been very fortunate with the team and the groups that we've partnered with and worked with. We actually have a couple of our designers actually came from Apple. They have experience with Apple. So very clean, very simplistic, and very, I would say, long-lasting designs and creativity. And that really helped translate into also the core offering of Pyvott from a feature set. But yeah, it's been a big project. It's been, like I mentioned, earlier, it's been in the works for about two and a half years from an ideation perspective, really feeling it out and gathering data. And the team we have, I've got to say, we would not be here if it wasn't for the team that we've been able to put together. But it's, yeah, to your point, it's been a big project, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you, so you just brought the development team together yourself, or obviously this is you've gotten some seed money, or I don't know, how have the financials worked on something like that? Because this, what you're talking about, it's not cheap.
It's definitely not. No, we're millions into this project. So to answer both questions there, first, yes, we put together our internal team, and then we've partnered with a couple development companies. Our primary development company out of San Francisco has done an absolute bang up job. They have a very strong national presence and have worked with international brands. Great group. And then to answer your question, yeah, everything that we've raised thus far has actually been pre-seed. So I self-funded the beginning of this project, brought on a couple close friends and buddies into that. And then we really started reaching out to the network and raising money. And so to date, we've raised a little over $2.5 million, no venture capital, no angel investors, just true pre-seed. And we've actually, our line of sight right now, we have about another $1.5 million to $2 million lined up that we're working on closing. And it's been amazing to see people rally behind this. You know, the long-term vision of what Pyvott stands for and where we're going, we do believe has the opportunity to make a real dent, not only in social media, but in commerce, as well as the ability to kind of turn these gigs. You know, you've got influencers, you've got small brands that are working on little gigs and side hustles. And one of the biggest issues that they find, at least what they've told us, is the ability to truly monetize. So we're really excited about the long-term vision of Pyvott and what that brings. And it's being made manifest not only in the initial users that are getting onto the platform, but with the investors that now, instead of having to hunt down the investors, they're coming to us, which is really exciting.
Yeah. All right. So obviously the model, I would imagine, is designed around, so you're giving users greater control over what they want to see. And I agree, like Facebook just shows that dumbest stuff. It's like, and it's, the ads can sometimes just be ridiculous. They're so irrelevant to me. I don't engage with them at all. So, I talk with obviously a lot of people on both sides of it, both, people that are trying to advertise who are like, well, Facebook changed the algorithm. So it sucks from an advertiser standpoint now. And from a user standpoint, it's not any better for me. And it's just a lot of irrelevant crap. And so how explain the user interface and how that is a much better experience for the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question and something that was obviously a key part of this whole project. So when we initially looked at this, one of the examples that came to mind very early on in our ideation was, if you look at television, kind of a dying industry, but you look at streaming services, we're kind of on the up and up there. The thing that's the same about both of those is you can choose to watch whatever you're in the mood for at that moment, right? But then let's say you're in the middle of watching, I don't know, a carb show, and you want to all of a sudden change over to the food channel. You can make that change instantaneously because your mood changes instantaneously. We said, why isn't that available in social media? So one of the core offerings we came to market with out the gate that we're continuing to refine and really excited about where it goes is the ability to have multiple feeds. And so you get onto Pyvott, you're in your social feed. That's the people you follow, the friends, family, people you go to Sunday dinner with, right? People that you really want to engage with. But then you can go into your discovery feed, or you can create your own feed entirely. And you create those feeds based on hashtags, interests, users, etc. And so when you really get into those custom feeds, it's like, man, I could have a really comprehensive car feed that shows me only Fords and Chevys. Great. But then when I have a hankering, I like cake. I'm a chocolate cake guy. So if I want to start looking at maybe some desserts, we can change over to your dessert feed and so on and so forth, indefinitely, allowing the user to truly control what they see and when they see it. Because again, I'm not always going to be in the mood to look at cars. You're not always going to be in the mood to be looking at what maybe the rising stars in business. We all have our different interests. So allowing people to control that is one of our key differentiators. And we're really excited about the refinement process, but also a really exciting piece of this too, from a business perspective and an influencer perspective, is now you can target different demographics and individuals without, encroaching on their privacy and their personal data. It's allowing them to say, look, I'm interested in this right now. And so then you can get into those feeds. It's like, okay, I'm going to start posting car content. So it pops up in car feeds. It's no longer intrusive, and the end user controls what they see and when they see it.
I like this because it's kind of I love the user experience. I love the content in Reddit. It's very text heavy. It's a lot of conversation, and the conversation's great. And yet it's, still, I'd say not perfect in terms of like but I love being able to just say, you know what, I'm on social media. I don't want to be sold at. I don't want to talk about business. Like I just want to see cats and,
Yep.
And so like totally. I was just signing up for Pyvott and got my username and all of that. And so, and I love that, it's basically like, okay, well, what do you want to see? And he gave me like, I would say 12 or 16 different options, about 16 options. I did not pick the politics button. It's like one thing I just do not want to. I do not want to see politics.
It's a category that some people love, but I think generally most people are kind of tired of all of that on social media. So we give them the option, but it's not going to be forced upon you by any means.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Okay, so what you're at this point? The app is live. You're enrolling users. It's gaining some traction. Obviously, there are. I'd say over the past year in particular, we've seen this issue of people kind of going to these alternate social media platforms because they don't want to be censored. Right? How are you dealing with that subject?
Yeah, you bet. It's a really great question. And one of the ways that we really differentiate is there is a true difference between censorship and moderation. Because again, we're trying to create a really exciting culture on Pyvott where everyone can get on and feel like they have an audience. Because at the end of the day, everyone has different interests, and a lot of those cross over into other people's lives. And so the difference for us is, yeah, we're going to moderate. We're going to make sure that our terms and conditions and our community guidelines are being upheld. But at the same point, and not to get political at all, because we aren't a political platform, we are a very neutral platform. As far as people saying, oh, I get censored on this platform, or I'm not censored on this platform, we've taken the approach of, kind of similar to Reddit, right? Where you can post what you want to post, but let the users decide if it's something they want to see and interact with or not. Because at the end of the day, if a post isn't getting interacted with, if people aren't creating feeds that allow for that content to show up, then maybe the person posting it should look at alternative forms of content, and maybe it's getting super engaged with. But at the end of the day, we want to create a very safe environment for everyone, no matter where on any spectrum you fall, and allowing people to truly put that content out there and for that content to shine forth, and then let the users decide what really is going to start flowing and trending and going viral and what doesn't.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay. So Josh, in terms of growth, what do you do? How do you attract more? I mean, obviously you want to attract more users. And then is there an opportunity then for people who want to advertise on the platform?
That's two great questions. I'll answer your second one first. There will be opportunities to advertise on our platform. A couple differentiators is that we will not be showing ads anywhere near as often as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the likes. On some of those platforms, it gets to the point where it's every other post or every two posts, right? It's a little bit ridiculous. We'll be showing them much less frequently. What the goal for Pyvott is for a business is, let's increase the click-through rate. Let's increase the actual sales that are derived from these advertisements. And we've got a couple of fun strategies on how we're going to accomplish that. But yeah, so advertising will be hitting probably the beginning to mid of November of this year, so a couple months out here. And those opportunities, we believe, are going to be very lucrative for the businesses or influencers, people who are trying to promote their brand, product, etc. To answer your other question, how do we grow? How do we scale? What's the game plan there? We're obviously watching the metrics every hour, and we're extremely excited about where we're flowing. And, we compare against some of the recent social media platforms that have made an attempt to grow: Dispo, Clubhouse, MeWe, which has been around for a while, but kind of had a spike there. There's a variety that have been trying. And as we compare our metrics against theirs, there's two things that we're really excited about. The first is that we are outpacing the growth that Clubhouse saw, which is really exciting. And number two is the average amount of time people are spending on our app. We're finding that, we're well ahead of where we were hoping we would be as far as general consumption. And I think it comes down to the unique user experience, the customization, the ability to truly see what you want, how you want to, and they see the long-term vision of where this is going long-term and what's coming down the pipeline. So from a marketing perspective, we're running some very traditional campaigns, also partnering with some very, very large influencers and celebrities, which is exciting. And I would say, not to ramble on here, but the third, and I would say maybe one of the most exciting components that's fueling some of this growth that we'll be seeing in the next few weeks, is truly partnering with influencers and content creators. And again, that doesn't mean you have 10 million followers. You could be a macro, micro influencer with a couple thousand followers, but typically your engagement is going to be much higher than these large influencers. But again, regardless of that spectrum, Pyvott is here to help you build your brand, whether that's, let's say it's merchandise, maybe it's you're going to create your own supplement line, whatever it may be. Because of the connections and the team we have, Pyvott is helping these content creators partner with the right companies or create their own brands completely in-house, where Pyvott also will help self-fund those projects for you to get off the ground. Because a lot of people don't have the cash or the time to really go and build their own brand, but they know they can. And so instead of selling someone else's product, let's help them truly monetize. So we've got some really exciting monetization components, and influencers, especially the mid-size influencers, are eating it up. They're extremely excited. So we're excited to see not only the success that they see from that, but what that gives to Pyvott. What does that bring as far as the usage and the followers that migrate over to Pyvott? We're excited about it.
When you put together and update your SWOT analysis for this company, what's in your threat box?
I think the biggest threat, and this is probably not necessarily something that's unique to tech, but it's something every business faces, right? Especially we chose to go after some of the biggest companies in the world, not only within our industry, but in the world. We're going after Facebook, we're going after Twitter, we're going after Pinterest. We are definitely the small dog here. However, I'm betting on our vision over theirs. And we have the goals and the processes in place to get there. For us, it's really just making sure that we can continue to be nimble and continue to make, no pun intended, but to be able to pivot in the direction where we need to as a company to stay on that ahead of that curve. I think what social media companies did 10 years ago, they were much more adept to listening to their users. They just don't care anymore. And that's something that's going to differentiate us. But to answer your question more directly, what are the threats? It's, the threat is going against these giant companies, and what can they do to, copy us? That's a threat. Can they simply come in and try to squish us with whatever else they've got in their back pocket? Sure. But I think the resiliency that you'll find with the Pyvott team is going to be able to overcome that. And then number two, obviously the threat of no one coming over, but I think we're past that hurdle. As we're seeing already, we've got thousands of individuals that have made the move in the first 10 days, and we're on track to very quickly hit 100,000. And then we've got our trajectory to hit 1 million users. And those are the first two real big, essentially milestones that we're shooting for.
Well, that's exciting. So Josh, any other opportunity? So let's say that I'm a business. I'm like, well, look, I want people to know about my brand. How can they get in now? How can they get in early? What should they be doing to kind of position themselves for the potential of a big sea of eyeballs? Absolutely.
It's a great question. I'd say there's two.
I thought you'd like it.
I love that question. So two answers to that question, because there's two ways in which businesses, as well as, again, influencers, can really take advantage of getting on this wave while it's not a huge wave yet, while we're building that wave up. Number one, for businesses, one of the things we've noticed, especially in our conversation with small and mid-sized businesses, they want to be relevant on social media. They have to be. Otherwise, you're going to be behind the curve and you're going to lose out to competitors who are. And so one of the things that's really cool for us is helping those businesses understand, how can I leverage not only Pyvott, but social media as a whole in its current state. And one of the best ways to do that is partnership with influencers, because those influencers command a different level of respect and a different level of, I guess the right word would be, interaction from their followers and their users than a traditional business does. And so one of the things that we're really excited about, where we've had businesses approaching us, is help us connect with these influencers, help us connect with people that are trying to monetize us. Hey, I'm business A, I've got 5,000 to spend on an influencer. I just don't know which influencer is going to be most relevant. And vice versa. The influencer is like, hey, I want to monetize, I want to make money, but they're not comfortable going and selling the proposition of them as a personal brand. And so that's one of the really exciting opportunities. So if you are a business or an influencer looking for opportunity, not only within Pyvott, but just as your own personal brands, feel free to reach out to us, and we would love to have that conversation. Customer support at pyvott.com would be where you'd reach out to on that. Number two is we actually have some really exciting opportunities within advertising for the initial advertisers who are hopping on the platform early, trying to take advantage of what will be a rising star. Again, I'm very confident in our vision for Pyvott and for social media as an industry. Our goal is to take it from here and elevate it to the next level. And so within that, businesses that want to be on that first priority list of the opportunity to advertise and leverage Pyvott, again, reach out to us. Let us know. We have a pretty impressive backlog of businesses right now with some very, very large mainstay household names that we're excited to partner with. But that would be another opportunity, is get in the door now. Let us begin those conversations, so that by the time it's time to actually get on and start advertising, you can simply pull the trigger. We're already done with the initial conversations and negotiations, etc.
Awesome. All right, Josh Jackman, your website is pyvott.com. That's Pyvott. And from there you could just search. I've already went to the App Store while we were talking, downloaded it, installed it, set up my account. You can follow me on Pyvott. I'm Josh Elledge.
That's right. Josh, I'm going to tell you one quick secret here. So the top right corner of your profile on Pyvott, you'll see a little chain link. You send that link to anyone, and when they download Pyvott, they force follow you as soon as they're done logging in. It makes it very easy to transition your group from Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. So they're automatically following you. You can send it via SMS, any other messenger function. So leverage that, because that's how you're going to get the followers to move over very simply.
Very, very cool. All right, Josh Jackman, congratulations on the launch. We'll be watching your progress with great interest. So Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate the time, Josh. Talk soon.